Hey, David here from Animator Artist Life. So let's talk about kinetic text. You've probably heard this term thrown around. It's a skill that every motion designer needs to know. So what is it? It's basically engaging animated typography, and it's often timed to a voiceover. So it tends to be energetic, tells a story. So for today's tutorial, I've put together a little piece that covers a range of kinetic techniques. Check it out. The art of movement with text, defying the horizontal, mixing colour and size, and it's really cool. So that's what we're going to go over step by step. I've included a bunch of different techniques, and we're going to do this without any plugins, by the way. We're going to use some scripts, but don't worry, I'll give them to you so you can just copy and paste them into After Effects. You'll find them really useful for all your projects, so let's get to it. Okay, so step one is we need to make a rough timing edit. So to do this, we're going to lay out, I've laid out all my text already here because I obviously don't want you to wait and see me type all this out. So I've got everything on separate layers. I have justified the text right for these three because I want them to be coming in from the right. This block here is just one single block because we're going to be using the layer per character animation tools, which I'm going to go through with you, and I color coded each of the layers just to help me know which sections are with which that we're going to tackle per section. So the art of movement with text, I've color coded yellow. You just click here and just choose your own color. We're going to create sort of a rough timing edit, which is the first step. So we're going to click on our VO, which I've laid out into the layer. Double click your L key, and you'll see the audio wave appear, and this is what we're going to use to do our timing. If you hold down the control key or option key on a Mac, I think it is, I'm on Windows, and you can scrub the timeline. The art of movement with text, defying the horizontal, mixing colour and size. Okay, so what we can do is, you don't have to do this, but you can sort of add markers in as well to help you. So if you scroll to the first letter where the VO says the art of, you can actually click the little star key on your keyboard. Just click once here and you get a little marker, and then you can actually double click and you can type in the art just to give you clues. You don't have to do this, but on a longer piece it will help, but we don't necessarily need it here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create just a real rough timing edit. Everything's there's no actual design. I've just got everything on the screen at once at the moment, just so we can hear what we're doing. So I'm going to first of all hide these sections that we don't need first, and then just work on one bit at a time. So if we scrub the timeline to the art of movement. So this one would be start here. You can either slide it up yourself, like clicking and dragging, or you can hit the left square bracket to pop it into place. So the art of movement comes in here. I'm going to zoom in. So movement comes in here. You can add a mark if you want, but I'm just going to, for speed, just move this up to here now. Okay. There we go. So we've got the art of movement with text. So to here. Okay, and you can set your marker. So it's B for the beginning, for the playback, and say key N to just limit to this this left and right timeline. I'm going to click the 0 key to do a preview, so you can just have a quick test. The art of movement with text, and it's, as you can see, it doesn't take long at all. So now we go on to the next section. Defying the horizontal. So defying the horizontal. Let's unhide this. Move it into place. With text. Defying the horizontal. Mixing color and text. So let's turn on this. Mixing color and size. Let's just move them all up out the way. And let's see, it starts here. Mixing. Let's click on mixing. Left square bracket. Mixing color. It's going to be to here. And the ampersand symbol there. And size. There we go. You can do a quick round preview if you want as you go along to test it. The art of movement with text, defying the horizontal, mixing color and size. There we go. And we can always adjust these as we go. So let's just move along just to get the last ones in. Let's see. It's really got this big, really sort of and let's turn these on to hit the eye icon. And it's really cool. And let's put the really there. And it's really cool. Starting there. And you can see it's quite easy to see it from the waveforms where the sound starts. Let's click it here. It's really cool. Okay, let's just zoom back out. I'm going to hit the N key to bring up the time slider preview time to here. And now we'll just do a quick round preview of the whole thing, just to have a quick look at the timings. The art of movement with text, defying the horizontal, mixing colour and size. And it's really cool. There you go. Really quick and easy to get in a quick timing edit. So that's step one out of the way. So let's move on to step two, start laying this thing out and start the animation. Okay, let's work on this section by section. So we'll hide everything that we don't need for now. So we'll hide all this and we'll go just leave what we need, which is the art of movement with text. I want to position this nicely as part of our layout. So I want to get this in the center of the screen. You can sort of move it by eye if you want as well, but I'm just going to click on the art of. I'm going to position this center screen, and then I'm going to select all three and align right so it all matches up right here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to animate the first line, so in time with the VO, so the art of movement. Now, if you would, in our original, let's just open up our original here, step 5, you can see you get them coming on word by word. Okay. So if we were to do this word by word, we would have to have each word on its own layer and animate it. It's obviously a lot more work. You get a lot more options with the animation toolset you get within After Effects. It's like a separate box. It's almost like effects, and you can affect it per character or per word. So I'm going to go through that now. So let's start here with the first line, the art of. We're going to open up the arrow here so you see everything and you reveal this animate. We're going to click on the button and we're going to add a position. Now with this, instead of like normal where you add your X or Y keys and position it, you only need to add a sort of one key, and then we use the range selector to choose the timeline. If you can see here, you've got position, you've got left and right, which is your X, or your Y, up and down. So let's give it our X position. We can always edit this. Let's bring it in from the left, so let's move it X off screen this way, and open up your animator options again, and you'll get your range selector. And let me just scroll down here a bit. And what you want to do is you want to set the range here. In the range selector, you've got your start and your end. So let's do it one way. Then I'll show you. I'll show you how you do it per word. So if I clicked add a little stopwatch key, start, you're on 0%, bring it into here, and we add our end, and then we drag this up to 100%. As you can see, all the characters are animating in lovely. That would obviously take a long time to do letter by letter. What we're going to do is open up the advanced options here, and you'll get a scroll down to based on, and you've got characters. Let's change this to words, and now you'll see that it scrolls in per word. Okay? But the problem we've got here is that it's overlapping and coming the wrong way. Obviously, we want our design to come in of art the, so it comes in justified to the right. So let's go back and let's change this. So let's delete these keys, and we've used the start 0% to start 100%. Here you can see it changing. What we want to do is we want to delete those keys and use the end. Okay, so we want to set our end key, and then when this comes in, set. So we're going now the other way. We're going end 100% down to 0%. So now what it will do is it will work from the end out and end to the beginning. So now we get what we want. Okay. The art of movement. There you go. And then the beauty of this is these animations. You can overlap and overlay many different things. So we want to blend this in. So we'll add an opacity on top. Okay, and now you've already set your main keys here. This is the beauty of using these things. You don't need to separately animate the opacity now. All you need to do is say that we're going to start on 0%. So go back to the first key. What I've done, see what I've done is I've slid it down. So we're still relying on just these two keys. And now watch. Here you go. The art of movement with that's great. So you can imagine if you had to do each letter each word, on a separate layer, animate the position of each one, match them up, animate the opacity of each one. You don't need to do that with these, and it can get quite advanced. You've got lots of different effects. You can have a play, and you can add multiple ones. If you need to change timings, you obviously need to add multiple ones, and then just add your a new range selection, which we'll go over later because we need to do that for one of the other things. But it does get quite advanced. You've got all sorts of stuff. You've got color, line spacing, tracking, skew, position, rotation. You can do some really cool stuff with this. Okay, so then we've got the art of movement. Now I want to do something different with this. We're going to turn this into a 3D layer. So to do this, first of all, on our original, we want it sort of swinging in sort of like a 3D, like a flip board coming in here and then swinging, like with gravity. So what we need to do is we need to first of all change this to a 3D layer. So go down to your toggle switches option. If you haven't got this showing, you might be something like this. So just switch it so you can see. And this last icon here is the 3D layer icon. So what you're going to do is just click that on movement and it turns it to a 3D layer. We've already set our pivot point to be the top. If you haven't got that, let me just show you. You just click on pan behind and then you can move the pivot point wherever you want to go, and if you hold down Control it will snap. You see? And you can do that. Even if I turn off the 3D layer, you've still got that option. Hold down Control and snap. So you might want it spinning up from the bottom, so you put it in the corner. Okay. And another little tip we got here is if you hold down the Control key and double click, it will snap to the center as well. So let's put it back where we want, because we want it coming in from the top. So we need the pivot point to be. It could be in the middle. It could be the right, left. It doesn't matter as long as it's on the top here, so that we can pivot. Okay. So I'm just going to put it in the corner there. Oops, sometimes a bit finicky, especially with the graphics tablet. There we go, that'll do. So let's turn it back to a 3D layer. And this one is going to come in from the top. The art of movement. We want a nice sort of swinging key. So now, if we open up, let's hit the R key to open up movement, rotation, sorry. Now, if this wasn't on a 3D layer, you would just get rotation. But now, because it's a 3D layer, you get orientation, so you can actually rotate in X, which is what we want. You can do it in Y, you can do it in Z. So if you put the pivot point here, you can have it opening in like a door if you wanted to. So we're going to set a key on the X rotation, and we're going to bring this back. I mean, you can do it from the front. I'm going to do it from the back. I'm going to do it from here. So it's like, you would think it was exactly 90, but because of perspective, you sometimes have to go a little bit over, like sort of 91. And I'm going to bring really sort of quick swing into play. Movement. We want it swinging there. So let's hit this to 0. The art of movement. Just do a quick round preview. The art of movement with, there you go. At the moment it comes to a dead stop, so you could, if you wanted to, say, hit F9 and have it slow down so you're easing in. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to swing, and we want to do that with some inertia, some physically based inertia. Now you could animate this by hand, so you could say when it gets to here it swings a bit more forward, and then when it goes back it swings back, and then it comes to a still in the 0. Let's have a look at that. The art of movement with text. So you get like that little swing, but it's never exact, and it's a bit more trouble to do. So we're going to use some scripts. Now, some of you might be scared by scripts, but you don't have to really. You can just literally copy and paste them. I'm not a coder, know a little bit, but I used lots of different scripts. And I'm going to supply these for you as well, and they're really useful. You can use them in any project from here. We can add inertia to all sorts of objects. And the beauty with this one is that, as I promised, you know, we can use scripts. I've got certain scripts to add inertia. I've got one called After Effects here, which obviously I'm not going to use for this project because I promised to do it without any plugins at all. So what we got here is I'm going to open up my, I've got a little text document and I'm going to supply these to all of you. And I'll just show you what it looks like here. And I got this, it's quite a popular sort of script online. So this is the script, this bit here. And it looks scary if you haven't seen any code before, but it's really not that bad. I mean, I wouldn't be able to code this from scratch, but you can sort of get the gist of it. But all you need to do is just highlight it all from here. So you've got your amplification, frequency, and decay. So those are the ones you only have to change if you want to, but you can just literally copy, and then we're going to go into our X rotation. We're going to hold down the Alt key, click on the stopwatch, and just paste. And click off. That's it. That's it. And you can open this up to have a look. It's gone in. There you go. There's the code. And what it does, it adds a lovely physically correct, physically based inertia, so it slows down, and you can change the decay rate to get it to swing more the frequency. So now if we play this back, the art of movement with text. Beautiful. And you could say, let's change the decay or the frequency to get it to go faster. And you can play with these. Let's change that to 4. If, you know, the art of movement with text. There you go. It swings a bit faster, which is actually quite nice. It's up to you. Just have a little play. Don't be scared. Just start by sort of playing with. I would leave this one alone. Maybe the frequency and decay. This one gets it to last longer. So if we change this up to something like really big, like 9. The art of movement with text. There you go. It's sort of short. It had sort of like dampening. Let's put that back. The art of movement with text. Perfect. That's really nice. Okay, let's close this down. So we're almost at the end of the first step. You can see how useful this is. The art of movement, and then we're going to go on to with text. So let's close this down. We don't need this anymore. And here I'm going to go back to hit my V key to just go back to my main tool. And this one we're going to use the same as what we did before, but this time per character. So if you remember from the original, we had the art of movement with text coming in like this. And we're going to do this big movement afterwards. I'm going to show you how to use nulls, and we're going to create our own sort of control base that we parent. Here we go. So let's just do this bit first. With text, open it up. Again, we want a position. This time we're going to come from the bottom, so I'm going to drag this down. Go as far as you want. You know, you can do it all the way from the bottom or here if you want. And open up this. You see what I do? Sometimes it doesn't show the range selectors. You have to open and close it again. So here we go. We've got the range selector. Open it up. And this one's going to be quite simple. It's coming in as we want, so we just do a start at 0% with text. Bring it in here with text, and I want this to come in from this side, so I don't need to use the N. I'm using the start this time. The art of movement with text, and let's now just scroll down so you can see easier. Let's add another property in. Let's add in. You can click here or here. I think they both sort of add the properties in together. Click the opacity. And again, this is the beauty of it. You don't need to animate the opacity. You just tell it to start at 0. You're done. Let's hit the F9 key on here so that you'll get your easing in. So it's not just going to stop suddenly. The art of movement with text. Nice. And I'm just going to go back to our art of movement one as well, and I'm going to hit the U key to open up any keys on that layer, and I'm also going to hit F9 to ease in. Round preview. The art of movement with text. There you go. The art of movement with text. So there we have it. So as you can see, those tools are really useful and they're really quick to use. You know, you can have a play to get something more complicated, but we're going to go over more of the effects and also breaking up multiple ones in a moment. So the next step for this is that we're going to start adding in our own sort of rig, a sort of controllers to be able to move the whole thing in one go, almost like we're moving a camera around. So let's move on to the next step now. So now we want to be able to move everything together, control together. So if you look at this one, we had the art of movement, and it all moves back with text, and then it all moves together. So to do that, we're going to create what's called a null. So some of you may know this already. So we're just going to get to where we want there and click Layer, New, Null Object. And this creates like an invisible object. It's got its own properties. Let's just name this quickly. So hit the return key, Control O1. I'm going to move this up above our yellow section so we can keep things more organized. And if I hit the P key for position, you can see this moves around. If I hit the R key, it's got it can be rotated. So you can think of them as sort of like rivets, you can use to parent things to, and they also work in 3D space. If I hit 3D, you've got your orientation as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to now parent our three main layers to this so we can control it all together. So you can highlight all of them, and you can either go here and click the layer, Control 1, or what I like to do as well is just click the pick whip. It's called the pick whip. Click, drag, and you can just sort of release on any object, any layer, sorry, this one here. And now when we rotate or physically move, everything moves together. And each layer can move separately still within itself. It's sort of parented under this Control 1. Okay, so let's animate this bit here. So we want the art of movement, and then it zooms out when we want with text. So we know it was going to end up here. So let's go ahead and set our keyframes here. So let's first set a position key. I'm going to hold Shift and S for scale, because that's where we want to end up. And then maybe from here I'm going to go at, I think, a scale of about 100%. And also we want the art of movement to be more in the center. So see, this is what happens if you click the art of, I didn't actually click the null. So let's move this down, the art of movement. So let's see what this looks like. The art of movement with text. Let's scrub that. The art of movement with text. So that could be a bit quicker, really, couldn't it? So let's move these keyframes across. Move these ones out. We'll ease them out on this side. We won't do it on this side because we want that sudden jump. Let's see. The art of movement with text. Yeah, that's good. Let's just check what we did before. The art of movement with text. Yeah, it looks the same. The art of movement with text. And obviously, your text is going to be different to mine anyway, so come up with your own design, but I'm hopefully teaching you all different sort of techniques you can use to rotate and animate and do anything you want from here. So the art of movement with text, there we go, that's how we use our null. And then from here we've got define the horizontal. We'll turn this on and we'll go on to our next step. So you click here and we've got define the horizontal. Let's just move this into position, something like this, and just check the time is right again. Text. There we go. So that's how you use the null. So let's go on to the next stage of tying these together. Now we're going to get some rotations in and do multiple parents as well. Let's animate these three lines before we do the big parenting and the rotation, everything. It will be easy to work with. So let's do the same technique we did before. So we'll go to define where it comes on, and let's add our animation. So let's go to here. I'm going to close down the control. Nothing you need to get in the way. We're going to do a parent. So we're going to have multiple effects on this one. So we're going to click animate and do a position. Open up our position, and we want this to come from down. We want each word to come up, each line to come up. Okay, so let's do let's open up our range selector again here, and there we go. So start naught. So define the horizontal. So define the horizontal. So let's get this to maybe something like this, 100%. And at the moment it's in words, so let's do the same as we did before. Click on advanced, go down to based on, and change this to words. or if you've got, I've only got one word on each per line, so, or you could change that to lines. So define the horizontal. Let's ease that in with the F9 key. Define the horizontal. Now we want to obviously add some opacity as well. So property opacity. Change that down to 0, and there we go. So now we're going to start mixing in something a bit more complicated here. So in the other design we had, let's have a look. We had this really nice, as you can see, as well as it going up, as well as each line going up, each letter is spinning into place to get this really nice effect. So we need to layer things up for this. So let's go back to our composition. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add, we need to add a separate range selector, because if we did another one, you could add another one over the top and change it to letters. So if we went to here and added our rotation and then rotated the letters, you would see it just looks horrible. You don't have any sort of control over it. So we want to you know, it just layers it in the wrong way. So let's get rid of this rotation. What we're going to do is we're going to add another range selector. Now to do this, you have to go up and select the top bit of the layer again. If you do it here, you can see it adds it within it. So you need to click on text first. It's quite important. Then click animate, then rotation, and you will get a brand new animator and a new range selector. You see? So let's we can see our keys are here as well. So let's add our start and end as well. So we're going to rotation. We want the letters to rotate from this way. So let's give it sort of a plus 90-degree turn. Open up the range selector, and this time, so now we've got our own start and end that we can use as well. So let's do the same as we did before. Start at 0%. We'll match this at the moment and go to 100%. There you go. So as it goes in, you can see it all sort of spinning into place. Nice. And then you can obviously hit the U key, so we see all our keys, and then you can change the timers, which we're going to play with in a minute. So you might want the sort of letters to come into play afterwards, which is what we're going to do. So you've got complete control here. You see here, if I stretch this out, you can change the timings of this one individually and the lines, this one. Okay, so let's just put this here and do. There we go. So now we want it to. We're gonna polish this in a sec, but I want it for the whole effect. I needed to see it coming in with the whole arch as well. So we could effectively parent the define the horizontal to the first control. But it's better to add another control and layer up your controls, so you do actually get more control over the controls, if you like. Then you can offset the time, and these can move out of screen without affecting this. So what we're going to do now is add another controller. So we want to do layer, new, null object, and this time I'm going to move this up to here, and I'm going to give this a fuchsia color so we can see it, and name this control O2. And now we can animate this rotating. So if we go to in the design, it sort of all rotates into place together, everything at once. So if we now parent define the horizontal to our control, we can rotate this. You see, obviously you could just rotate and animate the define, but I want to keep control, so you get more options basically. So as you can see, if we rotate this, it's going on its own. Now we want all this to follow it. So instead of parenting all these to it, we've already got it parented to control 1. So now we can simply parent control 1 to control 2. So now we're sort of getting like a little rig. So control 1 controls all these, control 2 controls to define the horizontal, but control 2 is the master. It's controlling everything. So now we can animate this. So let's do, let's say from here, we want a rotation and a position key. And by the time it gets to here, perhaps you can play with this, we want a minus 90 degree rotation here. And we want a position, you can position this by hand or by dragging this, or use this. We want this to come down to the screen so it comes off. So let's see, there we go. And let's give this both an easing in. There we go. Now we can perfect this. Now we can see it's looking a little bit funny on the rotation keys. So let's just see. Let's just check the time of this. I'm going to move the start and end with the B and the N keys again. Defying the horizontal. Right. So that obviously is a bit too quick. Defying. So let's do something like, let's drag these out to here. Defying the horizontal. It's a bit smoother. Okay. So now the rotation keys. With the single letter rotation, let's stretch this out, something like, or bring it back, sorry, and the words might be a bit sooner. So defying the horizontal, great. Yeah, that looks good. And obviously we don't want to see these letters before they arrive, so we need to add an opacity track as well. We've already added one on the words, but we need one on the letters. So let's open up the range selector here. We need to open up everything now, because I did hit the U key just to show the keys only. So select your animator 2. It's important to select the animator 2 because we're adding the opacity to this one, not the lines animation. Add property, opacity, scroll down, get it to 0. There we go. And we can now actually go up to the original range selector and delete this opacity. We don't really need this one because it's the letters that are fading in, not the words. And that looks really nice. That looks really nice. So let's also add put an easing in on this, and let's just try this out. Defying the horizontal. Defying the horizontal. Right, that looks great. So it's, we want the rotating letters to last a bit longer. So let's stretch this out. Defying the horizontal. Right, it's still a bit quick. So what we can do now is select here, and we're going to go into the graph editor. From here, you can select the top node, the control curve, and you can see this is a curve. Most of you probably have used the graph edit before, but it's sort of a necessity to get smooth curves, smooth animation and stuff. And we can now drag this out. And what this is doing is it's slowing things down over a longer time, a longer period. And then we can drag this out a little bit. There we go. So you get this. See, if I zoom in here, you can see you get this. The longer you do it, the longer it'll apply that end curve. The final rotation will slow it down. There we go. Let's just hit around. Defying the horizontal. Defying the horizontal. Defying the horizontal. Defying. That is really good. So now I'm going to click this little button here to go back to the normal view. I'm going to stretch out a little bit, and let's just see how it's all working together so we get an idea of the timing. So let's just go drag our time slider back to the beginning and just do a round preview. The art of movement with text. Defying the horizontal. The art of movement with text. Defying the horizontal. The art of movement with text. Defying the horizontal. There you go. Yeah, really pleased with that. So you can obviously tweak these further, but now you can see how we multiple layered them up. We've got 2 control layers, one control is controlling the other control, and now we've got multiple animation effects. We've got one per line and per word, and we've also got another one on top with just per letter, so you get really nice effects. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, for this next step, let's have a look at what we're going to do. So we're going to introduce a bit of colour here. So we're going to bring it in here, mixing colour and size as we go through, and we're also going to tone this one down as it goes across. So let's go back to here and close down the define the horizontal, which we don't need, control 2, which we don't need, and let's bring back now our next set, which is mixing, color, and size text. So let's move this into position. Let's have a look up here. So we want this to be something like this, and let's go back and scale up this as well. Yeah, definitely. So let's just quickly scale this one up as well. So we go back to our Control 2, go U, and go to here. As it gets to here, we'll add in our scale keys as well. So let's scale. It's going to go from 100% to, let's see, something like that looks good. Let's move it down off screen again. Yeah, we can get a little bigger, let's say, I don't know, 130%. Okay, and then we can move this into place. So let's select all of these. Mixing. And we want to really play on this size word. So what I did is originally is just scaled it up, and we're going to zoom in so you get that real big effect. So let's scale this up to match out this big here. Let's move it over, get it in line. Okay, that could look good. There we go. And then in the original also we, let's have a look, we moved it over and slide it across. So we're going to do this big sliding thing here. And we're going to do that with the original control and then add a new one here for this one. Okay, so let's get to here. So as soon as it comes in with mixing, here's the VO, mixing color, so we want it to about here. We want this control to move over. So let's say something like this, and then we're going to move it in the X position over to here. Yep, that looks okay. So now we can move all of these into a nice sort of position. A bit central now. Again, play with the design, totally up to you what you do with yours. And we're going to animate this is sort of gets in the way of the legibility of this really. So in the other one, if you notice, we sort of animated the color down as well to a grey as it moved across. So what we can do there is we can, as it moves across, so from here, define the horizontal, let's go to our effects palettes and type in fill. And drag that across onto define the horizontal, and we're going to change the color to sort of grey, something like that. And we want to animate this control as well across. So you want to set a key on the actual color, so click the color icon here, it'll come up. Let's have a look over here. Let's hit the U key to show all our keyframe. There it is, fill color grey. So as it's that's the color we want it to be, so let's move it along to this keyframe here. As it hits here, it turns to grey, and here we want to turn it back to our white. So you can either do it up here or down here. Let's go back to our white where we were. And what's nice about this is it actually shows you a sort of a little graph of it changing colour. So over to the side there. Okay, so it's quite simple. And let's bring on the first word, and I wanted to do this with this, almost like it's wiping it on really. So from here it goes across to here. So let's move back the mixing to here, and we're going to just you could use a matte. I'm just going to use a linear wipe. So let's just go back to effects and just search for linear wipe. Drag this across to the word mixing. And let's see, so we want this sort of does a transition. You can see it sort of wipes it across. So we want it to start on 0. And let's keyframe this. Hit U so you can see a key. When it comes to here, we want the transition to be 0. There you go, just a little mixing. I've got the direction going that way as well, so that's correct. And I'll put and hit F9 to slow down, do the easing in. Here you go. And then we're also going to feather it. As you can see, it's a really hard edge at the moment. You see, it's a real hard edge. We might have to change the timing of this, by the way. So let's just move this back a bit. There we go. So let's choose. If you feather it, you can see it sort of softens the edge of the transition. It's very quick anyway, so it's just going to mix it on there. And we want to get it to arrive there, so that's better. It's quite quick mixing. Just hit the B key, N key, check console. It. Mixing color. Yeah, mixing color. Mixing color. There we go. Okay, so from here we're gonna now introduce a bit of color play on this word, obviously. So let's have a look at what we did here. As you can see, we did mixing and then color. It sort of zooms in a bit, and we're also going to spread this so it meets the end here as well. Let's do that as well. So we've got mixing color. So I want to change the tracking of this. Let's go to character, sorry, and change the kerning, change the letter spacing, bring it out. Yeah, that looks better. So you can always adapt your design as you go along, you know, or you could sort of, you know, plan it all out first. Mixing color and size. There we go. So with this one, we're going to go to the color, and we're going to let's close all this down so it's not in our way. With the color one, we're going to use the same animation controls before, but this time we're going to add a fill color and go to RGB, and it gives you these options. You choose any color you want. You know, I think we're going to change the background later anyway. Let's just do something like a little purple across here. There you go. So I'm not going to fade this on because I want it to just hit on as well, so it just as soon as it says the word. And with the range selector this time, we're going to animate the offset instead, so we get like a little dash going through. So let's get to here. Let's open up our range selector, which we've got here, and then offset here. Okay, so I'm going to start this at -100 and go through, as he says, color. As he, I mean me. color. It's going to go through and right way through. So we're going from -100 to 100. We're animating the offset. If we just use the start and end, it would just fill it with a solid color, but we want it to go back to being white. So let's see. Color. There you go. Mixing color. Okay, so there we go with that, and we also now want to add a bit of movement, so we're going to need another controller as well. So let's have a look at what we did here. We did mixing color, and we did a sort of zoom in, and it brings everything in. So again, we need to use another null. Let's add our controller 3 above our yellows. So I'm going to click here, layer, new, null object. Let's bring this up to here. You don't have to, but I like to keep it in line. It has to be present from at least it can't be overlapping here because it doesn't exist, so it has to be in line with it. Let's call this control 3, and then we're going to do like a little zoom in. Let's close this one down so we can see what we're doing. So let's set there might be a position and a scale key. So it's going to a mixing color. So it zooms in, mixing. Actually, we do need this back here really. So mixing color. We're going to zoom from here. So let's add a position and a scale key, and then where we want to do it as well. There. So we're going to go from here to here. Let's try a scale of something like this. Obviously we need to parent our things as well, so let's just undo that quickly. We want to parent all these to our controller 3, and now we're also going to again we're going up staggered. We've got control 1 is parented to control 2, but now we need control 2 parented to control 3. So now control 3 controls all of them as well. Even though we're not going to see these anymore, we can actually cut these off anyway, really. So now let's do our zoom, our little pan in, color. There we go. Mixing colour. There you go. Let's get this little ampersand on as well. Mixing colour. And with I'm just going to bring this back a bit. I'm going to do just to bring it on. Let's move hit the pan behind tool and move hit the control key and snap this to the top. And we're going to do a sort of little bounce on scale. So let's do that now. Hit the V key to go back. I'm going to do a scale, and let's start it at something like 25%, and then do a really quick up to 100%. And let's use our little script to give it a nice bit of bounce again. Let's open up our script here, copy, and then simply hit the Alt key to open up the expression box, and then Control V to paste in. And you get that nice little bounce. Mixing colour. Let's just have a little look at that, see how it works. Mixing colour and size. Brilliant. Now we want that big zoom in, so now we want to utilise the word size. So we're going to do this big sort of colour and size, straight up on the screen. It's good to play on the words that you're using. That's obviously obvious. What I've done is just I've created this video just purely to go over the examples, but you might find a really, you'll have probably a professional piece of VO to play on the words with. Let's go back to here. Size. Okay, so size is also parented. So let's go back to our control, and from here, and I want size to be moved back a bit just so we can get it to come on right there. Then we're going to do another position and scale, and I want it to be big and in your face when it gets to there. So let's scale this right up. I'm going to grab the control and just move it into position, something like that. And we're going to F9, ease the keys in. Okay, so that's that whole section done. Let's just check it out. Let's just test it out with the VO. Mixing colour and size. Mixing colour and size. Mixing colour. Yeah, it works. Mixing colour and size. Just thinking maybe we could ease this in a bit more, get it to slow down a bit more, another frame or two added on. Let's see if the impact's the same. Mixing colour and size. Mixing colour and size. There we go. Okay, so we're nearly there. Let's go on to the last section. So in this bit, we're going to actually use a different type of script to animate each letter separately with a script. So it's separated from the actual controls of here. I'll go over that next. Okay, let's create this last section. Here we go. So the size, and let's get this to zoom off screen with a bit of anticipation. So size. This is going to zoom off screen that way, so we could just click a position key and then zoom. We're animating the control here, by the way, control number 3 off screen, and that would just sort of zoom it off screen. But I'd like to add a little anticipation, so it just sort of slightly moves to the right and then zips off to the left. So let's do that. So add a little key here, and we're going to, before it moves to the left, we're going to move right. So move left and then zoom. You just get that little bit of anticipation, and it's really much better. Right, there we go. So the size is off the screen, and now we're going on to the last section. And with this, what we did is so it comes down at this, and it's really, and this is the bit that gets a bit more complicated. All these separate layers with inertia. Separate letters, with inertia, and then finishing off. Okay, so and it's really cool. Let's get that in now. Let's unhide our last few text layers, and it's really cool. So let's move this into position somewhere up here. Let's spread this out, the letter spacing. Let's see something. Up to here, and we'll leave the call for now because that's going to be obviously really big and coming in separately. We have it coming in like this, and it's really cool and zooms back. Okay, I'll just hide the word call for now. Let's bring this down into the center here, and it's really cool. Okay, so we want just animates coming down from the top of the screen, something quite simple. So click on animate, text, animate. We've done this a few times now, so we're going to go the other way this time. So position Y, we're going to go from up the top of the screen, and we're going to open up our range selector, start, and it's going to be finishing there, down to there. And you can keep that as letters if you want, but I liked it as words, so I'm just going to quickly change this to based on words. And let's add a little opacity one as well, so it blends in. Properties, opacity, change the opacity to 0. There you go. And it's okay. So now we're on to the really bit. Okay, so so this is going to be a little bit different. As you can see, what I said before, it's got this, and it's really, all the letters are coming up separately, and each and every letter has that inertia on it. So we need a different expression, a different script for that. So let's do that. So, and it's really okay. Here it is. Let's close all the other layers so we don't so they're not in the way. Obviously, you can just hit the U key as well to get rid of them all. Let's open up the text. So first things first, you've got this animate here. What we want to do is we want to turn on enable per character 3D. Okay, and then let's just, and we want, let's change the pivot point to be the bottom. Sorry, hold the control key, snap that down to the bottom, and let's open up the transforms. So we've got not the transforms, sorry, we're under animate, and then we add in a rotation, the range selector, and we want this to go back like this way, range selector. Okay, so that's what we would originally do, and then we would add our animator start and end. But this time we're going to actually add in what's called an expression selector. So add, and go down to selector, expression. Okay, so this is a bit different. As you can see, it's already working differently, and now you can. It's really cool. You can do all sorts of crazy effects. You can add per letter rotations, explosions, and all sorts of stuff. And we're going to use a slightly different expression now. So I'm going to open up that one here, and this is this here. So we need just copy and paste this, and then we're going to Alt click in the X rotation and just paste. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to delete the range selector. So we've got a little expression error here. Let's just find out if we've done that the wrong way. There's always mistakes to overcome, especially when using expressions. So let's have a look. Maybe we've put that in the wrong place. Let's just see what the instructions on here are. So it says set the value of the X rotation such that the text is rotated out of view, add an expression selector and delete the range. And then this goes into the default expression of the expression selector's amount property. So let's see, so I think what we've done is we've put that in the wrong area. So let's have a look. Expression selector, amount. So there you go. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. I like to keep these mistakes in so you can see where we're going with them. So we've got rotation, we've got minus, let's just round that up to minus 90. And I did it on the X rotation expression. What you want, the expression goes in the amount. So alt click in here, paste again, and there you go. There we go. Really cool effect. And it's really cool. It's really cool. And we can change now. We can change the timings of these as well. Let's just have a little listen. And it's really cool. So obviously that's too slow. So let me just check what settings we use. You can play around with them. Just I obviously don't want you to be sat waiting around. So I ended up using a delay of 0.05 and a duration of 0.12. That's the default. So let's go and change ours. You really have to have to just play around with this. So it was the delay that I found sped it up in a nice sort of way. So let's try this. And it's really cool. There you go. And it's really cool. Brilliant. And obviously, again, you can change this. Have a go at playing with the decay and the delay and see what you get. You can extend these out. So, and it's really cool. There you go. That's great. Let's so that's the expression bit. Let's now we need to just quickly zip this off to the side. So we need another controller now. But we don't need to parent anything to this one, so let's just add another controller, layer, new, null object. Let's get this in there quickly. Move this up, and Control 04. Give this a fuchsia color again, and then we're going to parent all three. We haven't done the cool yet, but we're going to parent them in anyway. Let's see, parent this. And now we've got a null, so now we can sort of zoom it out. Let's just close this down, and we can sort of now control it like we did in this one, where we sort of start big and then do this zoom back for the call. And obviously we're going to add some camera wobble there as well. Let's do this bit. So there's our control. We want this to start big really and go back to a rotated thing. So what we're going to want is a scale key. We're going to want to open up the position as well, so Shift P and Shift I just to add them all. Really cool. And it's really okay. So let's set something from about here. I think position, scale, rotation, and I'm going to let's nice and big, and it's really when we get to maybe cool just before the L we get into position. So let's rotate this out. This will be minus 90, and we're going to move the position over and scale it down. Let's go back down to 100 maybe. Yeah. Oh, there we go. As you can see, I selected the layer, not the null object again. So, and it's really cool. That is great. So let's turn on the cool layer and bring it back so it's in here. And now we need to position our cool where we want it. So cool, rotation. And I'm going to rotate it back out. At the moment, it's parented to the null, but we want it parented to the null at its proper rotation on the final keyframe. So let's go to 90, move into position. Let's crease this. I'll just do this quickly. You can do it neater than me. There you go. Really cool. And what I'm going to do is just do a simple, real simple opacity key here. So just as it comes on, it fades on, and it's really cool. And obviously we need to grab the controller and push this over to get our cool centralized. We might want it a bit bigger than that as well, but let's just do that. And what we're going to do here is use our nice inertia script that we did, but you can use it on cameras, on null objects, and all sorts as well. So let's do that to give it a bit of wobble at the end. So let's go back to this one, copy, and I'm just going to use it on. Let's just use it on the rotation just to give it some nice spring at the end, and let's see what that looks like. And it's really cool. And it's really cool. I think that can be, this could be faster actually, really. Let's try that. And it's really cool. Yeah, that's much better. Might be a bit too much wobble there, but you can adjust the parameters. And it's really cool. And it's really cool. That's it. So we have got down to the last section. There's one more bit I'd like to add a little bit of graphics and things like that, which I'll go over with you now. In the original, when it moved over, I did this nice little dotted line. We changed the background, and I added some. Obviously, the voiceover is just a temporary one. You know, it's just one I quickly knocked up, but I did add some little effects to it just to sort of make it not so amateur, because I'm not a professional voiceover artist. So let's go back here, and let's just do a watch over from the beginning, just to give it a once over, check our timings. Let's just, the art of movement with text, defying the horizontal, mixing color and size, and it's really cool. There you go, that is great. So what we would obviously do now is turn on motion blur for everything. You get a much nicer effect when everything's got motion blur on it. If we look, I've got the movie here somewhere. Yeah, so if we play this one back, the art of movement with text, defying the horizontal, mixing color and size. See, everything's got this nice, and it's really cool. You see that everything's got that nice sort of little blur on it. So what you would do is you just turn on motion blur here, and then every layer that you want with motion blur on, you just you turn on the switch here. So any text layer, I'm going to close all this down. So any text layer, you would add the motion blur on. And there, to give it this nice motion blur. The RAM previewing takes longer with it. The art of movement with text. Depends what computer defying the horizontal, mixing color and size, and it's really cool. You see that bit obviously is RAM previewing. It takes longer. So the art of, so now I'm literally just going to go through. I'm going to add that little arch, add a little background in. We're going to touch up the VO, and we are done. So let's just go on to the last final little polish. So let's start by putting in the background. So layer, new, solid. This can be any color you want. Let's go for sort of a dark blue or something for now. Okay, it's going to go up above. Let's just drag it down to the bottom. The art of movement. And it's a bit bluey, but you know, that's fine for now. So let's put in this nice little arch that we have. So as it was turning over, I added more sort of graphics with just to emphasize this turnover. So let's do that. So let's see, let's click on the top legs. We want this to be on the top, and then we're going to go layer, new, shape layer, and then we're going to select the pen tool because we don't want to draw a square or anything. We're going to create our own little arch. So what I'm going to do is just going to click and then hold shift and drag, and then I'm also going to let me just zoom out a bit here. Sorry, there's not much screen space when I'm recording. Click, and then I'm just going to drag down. I'm holding shift to get a perfect sort of arch, and then I'm going to zoom back in again, open up the controls, contents, shape, and fill. So we don't want any fill on this. We do want a stroke. Let's do something like this, and I would like dash lines. Okay, so now we've got the dash line. So when it rolls over, it does this, goes zoom. We sort of want it to draw on here. So let's, from about there. Okay, so let's do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a trim paths, which is here. Sorry, blind trim paths, and we want to, let's see, we want it to start there, so the start is at 0. We want it to draw on, so let's set a key for end. It spins, it's here, and when you get to here, it's off again. So you could we could do that way. Let's have a look. Let's set this start key so it's here, and then from the beginning it would be 0. So, and then when we get to here, the start is in the middle, sort of. There you go, and it just draws on. And just deselect that so you can see it. Yeah, it's quite nice. Just gives it a nice little more of effect. And I think the other way you can do it as well, you can also animate the, if you didn't want to do that, I think you can animate the offset as well. So let's just see how this works. We can delete these keys, and we've got start and end, and then you've got your offset. So you can add like little blips into it as well, get sort of more motion designer flashes and things, but have a play with that. But that, anyway, that was really quick and simple, just to draw it on and adds a nice little bit of effect. Just defying the horizontal. It's a bit slow actually, so I want this much quicker. Defying the horizontal. There you go. Defying the it, and then you can trim it off at the beginning. So you hold Alt and the square bracket, and then on the right, Alt and right bracket, and you just trim the layer down. Defying the horizontal. There we go. Defying the horizontal. Actually, you can trim down a bit further there. Defying the horizontal. Yeah, just adds a nice little bit of effect, really. So almost there. What I did finally then is just add a little bit of on the Reeeaally. I just added a bit of reverb. So let's just go back here. Fit the window. On the Reeeaally. So select this, go to Effects and Presets, and you do have a set of audio ones as well. You can do this in your audio program first if you want, and now we've got kind of like a reverb effect on it. Defying the horizontal, mixing color, echoey, but defying the horizontal way too much, and I only wanted it on this last word anyway. So we go up to the end word. You can see I use the double L key to open up the sound wave again, and up here in your effects, let's key it. So let's key the dry and the wet. We want it to come on about there, and then here we don't want any effect really. So defying the horizontal, mixing color and size. And it's really cool. There you go. I think I added defying a bit of modulator as well to give it a bit more, so it wasn't so voiceover. Let's see what effect we added here, just so I can quickly check. Yeah, it was sort of like a high-low pass filter. It just sort of. I'm just going to copy this out now. You can find it in your effects presets. It's just called high-low pass. It just added that bit of you can make voices sound like they're on the telephone or something like that, but it was really subtle amount. Defying the horizontal, mixing color, and just made it a little bit less amateur. Defying the horizontal. And I think that was it for all the effects, guys. Let's just have one little look over. And then you can also add a vignette in and stuff like that, and add whatever you need. So we've got the motion blur on, we've got all the effects. Let's have one last final watch over. The art of movement with text, defying the horizontal, mixing color and size. And it's really cool. There we go. So I've covered sort of quite a few different techniques. There's a lot of different kinetic text. Some just move the camera around, some just move the text. But I wanted to show you stuff that you can actually, animate extra layers. You can control everything with parents. You can use some useful expressions and scripts that you don't need to code. You can just copy and paste, and just a multitude of techniques. So I really hope you've learned something. If it has been helpful, I would love for you to leave a comment, let me know it was helpful, or if there's anything else you'd like to see in a follow-up tutorial. Maybe we could go into more depth and more 3D, something like that. And I really appreciate, if you could subscribe, and you'll get notified of other tutorials that I'm coming out whenever I can, and hit that like button. And really appreciate you guys watching my tutorials as we grow this sort of free resource. And brilliant. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. The art of movement with text, defying the horizontal, mixing color and size, and it's really cool.